in achieving this vision. Away from that, we stayed with developments in the aviation sector, where the Minister of Aviation, Festus Keyamo, has now suspended Dana Airline operations in the country till further notice. The directive followed the incident involving a Dana airplane at Lagos Airport on Tuesday, which forced aviation authorities to divert flights from local to international airport. TVC News on Tuesday reported that one of the airline's aircraft with registration number 5NBKI skidded off the runway at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos, though all 83 passengers and crew members disembarked safely. Mr. Keyamo explained that the recent incident underscored the urgency of the matter and that there's the need for swift and decisive action to be taken to safeguard the interests of all stakeholders involved. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Safety Investigation Bureau has commenced investigation. In a press statement by its Director, Public Affairs and Consumer Protection, Bimbo Oladeji, preliminary fact-finding revealed that Dana Airlines, with registration number 5NBKI, carrying 83 passengers and 6 crew members, departed Abuja at 8:20 a.m. local time and arrived in Lagos around 9:20 a.m. According to Mrs. Oladeji, the aircraft had a technical problem with its landing gear, experiencing directional control problems after landing, which made it veer off the wet runway to the left and travel onto the grassy area near the runway. There are no reported fatalities or injuries, and we're following that development very closely. Let's talk about the safety standards for transportation generally in Nigeria. And joining me from our Abuja studio is the Director General, Nigerian Safety Investigation Bureau, Captain Alex Badeh Jr. Captain, thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you for having me, Nifemi.
Indeed. So let's just cut the chase and get to it. Let's begin with the runway excursion yesterday with Dana Air in Lagos. A preliminary report, we are told, will be ready in 30 days. But what more do you know about this incident?
I'm not at liberty to speak too much on that, as that will preempt the investigation currently ongoing. We did receive the flight data recorder and the cockpit voice recorder this morning in Abuja at our flight safety lab. It's been downloaded, and I personally listened to some of it as well today. It's being analyzed now by our investigators. And as I said, the preliminary report should be out here under 30 days. We have up to 30 days per Annex 13 of the ICAO rulebook, but we will be publishing way before that timeline.
On what basis, then, has the minister directed the suspension of Dana Airline operations?
I don't know more than the public statement that's been put out, but he did say they need to do some forensic audits on the airline. And unfortunately, since the airline has had a few incidents in the past, I'm sure that's what necessitated the decision of the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority. I need to clarify that it's not the minister himself, but the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority who did that, due to the Civil Aviation Authority being an independent organization being supervised by our minister. So just to clear that misconception out there.
Indeed, that's the expectation, because the way the news has been reported is that the minister directed the NCAA to suspend the airline. Some have described that as an interference into the duties of the Nigeria Civil Aviation Authority. Walk us through what the standard procedure is in this regard.
I can only walk you through the standard operating procedure for us at the NSIB when an incident or accident like this should occur. Which was the first thing we did yesterday, which was to deploy a GO team out there to secure the crash site, retrieve any evidence, and take our measurements. The airplane is still in our custody at this time. It's just been moved away from the runway. Our investigators will be going back in conjunction with Dana to do some tests on the airplane while we investigate here. We'll be inviting the pilots as well for interviews before we release the preliminary reports. And once that's done, there'll be more work going in the background with the aim to have a full report out here within 12 months.
Within 12 months? That's the standard practice,
yes.
Right?
Typically 12 months. it could be longer depending on the complexity of the incident and sometimes funding. The more complex it is, the more it costs to actually investigate these accidents. Luckily for us in Nigeria, we have a world-class flight safety lab. We have a materials science laboratory which tests various components from crashed or accidented aircraft as well. So typically we've moved faster. We've been able to move faster in recent times than previous times.
So interestingly, Captain, a similar incident happened with Dana some 6 years ago when its aircraft overshot the runway. I think that was at the Port Harcourt International Airport. At the time, it was blamed on harsh weather, and the airline applauded the captain for exhibiting what it called highest safety standards. Talk to us about what usually happens when these final reports are out, because I know it usually comes with recommendation. How well have we fared, in implementing this recommendation thus far?
I would like to say if you look back in the past 15 years, 15, 20 years or so, I think the AIB was formed in 2006 or 8, which is the precursor to now NSIB. So we've been here for at least 15 years. And you can see it's a testament to the AIB, the Nigerian aviation incident rate, an accident rate, has dropped off. It's been a steep decline from the early 2000s when we had multiple crashes back to back in Nigeria. So definitely there has been some improvement in our safety records here in Nigeria, no thanks to the AIB and of course the Ministry of Aviation support.
So are you saying that we are holding operators and service providers in the sector to the highest international safety standards as we speak?
Oh, absolutely. For the Nigerian Aviation or Civil Aviation Authority, the regulators, I know they take our safety recommendations seriously, and they hold these operators to the highest standards.
Let's talk about the waterways, because the Bureau, we understand, has also launched an investigation into the devastating boat accident that occurred in Annam River 2 weeks ago. That particular incident, came with many twists. What's the update now?
We did deploy our team, our accident investigation team, off of our Enugu office a couple of days after the incident. And they have been to the accident site. They've interviewed some survivors. They're working in collaboration with the Maritime Police out there in Anambra State. And the Maritime Police retrieved the boat and the engine, and our investigators have analyzed it. We've also been in contact with the Nigerian Inland Waterways Agency, who are the regulators there for the waterways in Nigeria. We've reached, I would say, at least 20% in our investigation. Unfortunately, there's a bit of resistance, or slow cooperation, slow interagency cooperation, which is typical for a new agency like the NSIB. Sometimes there's not acceptance out there. People are averse to change, but we work on fixing that in the coming year and collaborating strongly with the regulators for our waterways, namely Nigerian Inland Waterways Agency and NIMASA as well.
Correct me if I'm wrong. The NSIB formerly was AIB, right?
Yes, sir. AIB was the precursor to the Accident Investigation Bureau. It's the precursor to the Nigerian Safety Investigation Bureau now, which was passed by the Nigerian Safety Investigation Bureau Act, passed in 2022 by the last National Assembly. And I must add, the AIB, which was the precursor to the NSIB, was the natural agency to take this over, seeing as the aviation industry has stricter standards, or aviation in itself has stricter standards by other modes of transport. So the idea behind that was to take the strict or stringent safety standards in aviation to put them all in other modes of transport.
So are you saying that this challenge with interagency collaboration preceded the formation of NSIB? And what are you doing to resolve this?
Stakeholder engagement at this time, we're interfacing with the the relevant regulators across all modes at this time. We need to do more public sensitization as well, just to get it out there that the NSIB is here to investigate these incidents, because as far as I know, we did not have a dedicated investigative agency for other modes of transportation accidents. If you look at other modes, you have the Road Safety Corporation, who is a regulator, the NIMASA and NIWA, who are regulators for waterways, and the Railway Corporation, who are regulators for the rail. And you now have a case where the regulators judge, jury, and executioner in its own case. You can't regulate and investigate at the same time. You need an independent, unbiased body to investigate incidents and accidents across modes of transportation, as is normal practice across the world.
Captain Badeh, let's take a commercial break and we'll be back with more.